say good evening to everybody. Welcome, welcome. My name is Christine Mapondera-Talley. And for those of you that are new to us, KidLit Nation, we are a nonprofit organization, and we were founded with a mission to help educate and support diverse authors and illustrators. And we do this by providing in-person workshops, classes, and scholarships. So, we're just trying to do as many things as possible. There are several things in the works, and webinars are certainly an extension of those efforts to reach the audience that needs our assistance. Anyway, I see more people coming in. I'm going to jump right into the big reason why we are all here today. As you know, we are very, very fortunate to have author Baptiste Paul, and we also have illustrator Jackie Alcantara. Baptiste and Jackie, please jump in so everybody can see you. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, and thank you so much for committing this day and time to us. I'm going to first go ahead and just give everybody a quick introduction of who you are. Baptiste is actually a man of very many talents. From what I've learned, he does everything from woodworking to gardening to entertaining hordes of kids like forever. He is actually originally from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia, and also speaks Creole and Patois. I might learn some Creole just simply from reading this book so far already. He currently lives in Green Bay, Wisconsin with his wife, and with family, really. And some of you may actually know Miranda Paul, and if you're part of the KidLit community, like most of us are, you've seen her work. She's a co-founder of We Diverse Books. She has books published herself and is a very, very active participant of this community. So, you'll be definitely seeing more of the Pauls in this industry. So welcome, Baptiste.
Thank you.
And Jackie is a fellow Chicagoan. Welcome,
What?
Jackie. I'm lucky. I get to see Jackie on camera and off camera, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I know that Jackie studied art education and later on taught art in high school, and eventually transitioned into illustrating.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, you're also a winner of the inaugural We Diverse Books illustration mentorship in 2016. And it's amazing how those worlds is so connected. You being winning that mentorship, and Baptiste's wife being a co-founder of We Diverse Books, and then you guys being doing the debut work on this picture book. I mean, like, how often do you see a debut author and debut illustrator, put together and create this amazing product? That's just really, really impressive, and congratulations to you both. So,
Thanks.
And
that was completely random too, by the way. Like, it wasn't,
right. It wasn't even planned. It just kind of, happened that way. The universe has a way of bringing people together, right?
It does. Yeah.
Very cool. So how did it feel when you saw that announcement in Publishers Weekly announcing your upcoming book? What was that feeling like?
Is that for Jackie or for me?
Whoever wants to go first.
All right, Jackie, go for it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a gentleman. Ladies first.
Gosh, I mean, it's kind of what you wait for and what you work for, for years and years and years. So
Right.
I don't think there's any better feeling until you get the actual physical book in the mail and you get to be like, and then probably after that, just having, the day when it's released and you can go into a store and kind of pick it up and hold it and have people buy it.
Right.
So, yeah,
right.
it's an amazing feeling.
That's incredible. What a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched No, actually, I read the Publishers Weekly, just the information they put out about the book. It did not really settle in until I saw the illustrations in the book. And I cried when I saw the illustration.
Oh.
Yes. Because, Jackie, you captured my childhood.
Aww.
I know we had like one conversation on the phone about the direction of the book, but I cried. And there's one page in the book I still cry every single time I flip the page and I look. Yes.
Which one?
Wow.
The one with the cows, the one that says shoe.
Oh.
It means so much. This was my childhood. And it just represented everything. And I get transported back in time to that moment, to that place when I close my eyes and I still remember everything that happened.
Should we show that page?
Do you have it? I have it.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, great.
I mean, right? Why not?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
That's why we're on video, right? There's the cows. Here's Baptiste's cows.
There it is. Yep. Pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
There's little Baptiste right there.
Yeah, that's little me, right?
Yes. Oh, that's so cool. That's, that's amazing to hear. It's so...
Yeah, I still get the chills and I still cry every single time I go through them.
Because it's a nerve-wracking process trying to capture somebody's... a story that is so dear, to somebody's life, and, you just hope that you can come close,
Right.
Jackie, the thing is, the central theme for me was, it was all about play. And kids everywhere play, no matter what socioeconomic status they come from. Kids play.
Right. Yeah.
And for me, even though I grew up in poverty, play was my escape. It was my escape from my poverty, from the reality I lived in.
Right.
And by me bringing that part of my childhood to life, and you illustrating it, all kids around the world could enjoy that moment of play, where they can just forget about everything in the world and just be a kid.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to capture in it.
Yeah. I love what you say about play, because I can relate to this story in so many different ways. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and when I look back at my childhood, there's some things that someone today may say, wow, you had a very privileged upbringing. You didn't have a lot of things, but I was actually very happy. I wasn't lacking. And, I made a soccer ball out of a whole stack of grocery bags, and we would go and play, and we created so many things that people buy at the store, but I still don't believe that I was missing out on life. I had a great childhood, and we played anywhere, just about,
That is so true, because not every child who grows up in poverty is sad.
Right, exactly.
My experiences as a child are very similar to children everywhere in the world. And I hope this book conveys that message. And when you look online and you see, the snotty-nosed kids and the sad ones, I'm not saying there are some kids who are not in poverty and who look like this, but majority of the kids are just happy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just visited a school this week, and one of the teachers actually, he did a piece with the students about, just privilege and poverty. Mm-hmm. And there's this island, I can't remember exactly where, that the kids actually made the balls out of the grocery bags you're talking about just to play. And one of the kids said, all the kids looked really happy. They were content. They didn't have anything, and they were happy. I'm like, this is my childhood. Even though I didn't have anything,
right,
I was happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I as far as I was concerned, as long as I had food, which I had consistently, and water and electricity, okay, so I didn't have a hula hoop from the store, or a ball from the store, or Play-Doh for that matter. I had real clay, like I went somewhere, dug up clay, and went home and made, my little people and pots and pans and my little houses. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm finding that now that I'm writing, I look back at all these really unique things that I experienced. Yeah. And I feel like they're so rich, and I can infuse them into my stories and help people understand that life in those environments is just as great, you know, for those people. And you may perceive it to be sad, but it's actually not. So, you know, and I like that you have the soccer theme in this book, you know, because it's such a universal topic. And sport, I mean, a lot of people love soccer.
A lot of
the world.
You mentioned writing, and I'm a big advocate of you write what you know. And if you don't know it, be ready to do some serious research and get familiarize yourself with the material. For me, I knew soccer. I knew how to play it. I think I'm a professional at playing. Yeah, but you write what you know. I'm not saying that people cannot write whatever they want.
Right.
But be ready to do some research and familiarize yourself with the subject.
So essentially, your childhood really inspired the story. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I wonder, Baptiste, if you kind of realized that growing up, or did you kind of have some of these conclusions about all the things that you're saying, like, as you were writing this? Like, did you find certain things out while you were writing the story or trying to write the story about how much you loved play and like how much it formed you as the person that you are? Or,
you know, the story
you write from what you know, but you also learn so much about yourself just in the
yes.
writing.
Oh yeah. The story came about while I was outside playing in the rain with the kids.
Okay, with
and
your
I
kids.
just realized how happy my children were. And I knew I was really happy at that moment in my childhood when I played outside in the rain, in the dirt, in the mud. I'm just a kid being a kid. And all of a sudden the idea just sparked. And I'm like, it has to be written. And
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so Jackie, I'm curious, how were you able to get into that zone where you could capture the spirit of this story and just bring it to life? What was that process like for you?
I mean, I think that the manuscript, and I knew that Baptiste, the author, was from St. Lucia. So I think originally I had a vague idea of what this place looked like. I've never been to St. Lucia. I've been to lots of places in the Caribbean and and to Central America, like many, many times as well. So I had a lot of memories that I pulled from travel and just from, you know, being in similar places. I didn't grow up in a place like that, but I definitely still have experiences in places like that. And then I kind of just, you know, went with my gut. I think that the words that Baptiste used are just so perfectly placed, and they say a lot in like one little word, like a lot of cultural nuances, you know, that just are kind of like a illustrator's, I would say, you know, dream come true, because it's minimal text, but it's such like vivid words that there's just so much you can do with them, and they paint a really quick and easy picture, or they did in my mind at least. So I felt like the first time I read it, I saw the place and I saw the characters and I saw the action, and I could kind of see the whole thing like right off the bat.
Okay.
And then it was great to, you know, we had a conversation, because I kind of had, you know, my ideas of it, but I was like, well, you know, I've never been to this place before. I kind of am assuming part of the storyline, because it is a little bit, a lot was left up, you know, to interpretation. So then after we chatted in a little bit and we kind of realized, you know, we were definitely both on the same page, it just jumped right in.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't illustrate, so I'm always like in awe of the work that illustrators do. And I have a copy of the book, and you're right, there are very minimal words in here, and it definitely takes a lot of creativity and imagination to just, you know, convey this message. And you did it so well. You know, I could really, I actually do like that page with the cows that Baptiste was talking about earlier. You know, it's like, hey, let's get these cows out of the way. We've got a game to play here. Let's
Yeah,
get this thing done.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you
But
for
it was so
sharing
fun, I mean, there's, it doesn't specifically say who the main character is or who is even in the book, so all of those things were left to kind of just play around with. There was a lot to just, play on the subject of play.
So Jackie, have you gotten the question whether or not the main character is a boy or a girl? I get it all the time. And I said, I'm leaving it up to your interpretation. It can be either girls play outside, boys play outside. Girls play in the dirt.
Yeah,
boys
I don't know how to
play in the
answer that question because I feel like some people like the fact that it's a little bit ambiguous, but
I like it a lot.
yeah, some people really think it's a boy, some people really think it's a girl. I mean, I have my ideas in my head, but I don't know.
Someone said it looks like my son.
Oh yeah. But I'm definitely not gonna say it's a girl.
So did you guys talk during the process that you're working on the book? Did you share images off St. Lucia with Jackie, or did you just kind of let her just go at it?
I think we talked once.
Okay.
Right, Jackie?
Yeah, we only talked at the beginning and then not until I think not until we met in person.
In Chicago.
At LA, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so Jackie had total freedom to do whatever she wanted to do with the book.
That's great. That's really good. Well, so there are some people that would like to see some of the artwork in the book and possibly read a portion of the book. So I'll leave it up to you guys, like how much information you're able to share. So I'm just reading the chat here to see what I would.
Yeah, I'll read some of the book.
Okay.
The takeaway I want people to actually get from the book are the Creole words in there. And my cat is actually wants to jump up on my lap right now. The Creole words, I just referenced to, they have such deep meaning. And like in English, you say come and someone comes.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's just come. But in Creole, you say vini. That means I want you to come now.
Mm.
I want you to drop whatever you're doing, and I have more important stuff for you to do. It means so much. Each Creole word has emotion. Each word can take you on a journey on its own.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and there are some words, even in my native language, that you can't really translate directly into the English language.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was reading the Creole, and I went back to the glossary at the very back, to kind of really get the emphasis of the words and be able to pronounce them, which is actually very helpful, by the way. I like that you included that.
I tried. I actually had to come up with just the pronunciation guide.
Oh, I know. Isn't that crazy?
It was a good process learning that.
And you mentioned how the language is kind of different in the different islands. So it's not like there's like a good study guide reference source. You kind of have to kind of create things as you go, I suppose.
You have to. Like some of the words are similar in the different islands, but there are lots of words that are so different.
Oh, okay. Well, so when you, I see some other questions. When you send this manuscript, did you include illustration notes? And
very few, right, Jackie?
Yeah, there was only one.
There's only one.
Which was the cow page.
That's the important.
And it just said, removing cows from fields.
Yes, I think that's it.
That's great.
Should I show the cover? I saw somebody ask.
Yes, I was going to say cover. Yep, there it is. Can everybody see it? Let us know in the chat if it's. I see it really clearly. Oh, they said no. I can't. I can see the cows. Interesting.
Oh, I have to be talking. I get it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm just gonna talk and say something so that the camera stays on me. So this is the field.
Yes, someone has to read something from the book.
You, Baptiste.
I will read something from the book. Let me grab my copy. I'm going off camera.
Okay.
Well, for now, I'll show you guys the cover again. Here's the back. I'll
More
open
cows.
it up. Oh, go Baptiste.
All right. Are we ready?
Ready.
Vinny, come. The field calls. Ball, ball. Soulier, shoes. Goal, goal.
We need to see the pictures.
Oh, Jackie, why don't you show the pictures while I read?
Because the cameras only goes on one person at a time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just gonna keep, yeah.
All right. Can you see it?
Yep, we
All
can.
Okay, perfect. I'll continue. I'll go this way then.
There you go.
How does that look? Shoe. This is my favorite page. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You. Friends versus friends. Anu Ali. Let's go. I'm open. Pass. Shoot. Almost. This way. Easy. Pass. So close. Uh-oh. Shutter banks. Sun hides. Clear the stings. Sky falls. Fini? Game over? No way. Play on. Dash, splash. Slip, slide, belly flop. Time out. Shoes off. Socks off. Go. Run. Side to side. Kick. Jump. Oops. Ou bien? You okay? Muy bien. I'm good. Rain stops. Sun peaks. One last dribble. One last drive. Dribble. Twist. Goal! High fives. Fist bumps. Happy tackles. Mama calls. Vinny, come. We play on. Vinny Abueza, come now. Game pauses. Mamas press their lips. Soak shoes, dirty shirts, mudcake kids, torn up field. We hide our smiles. We sleep in the tub. Bonsoir. Good night. We dream about football. We dream about friends until the field calls again. Vinny.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful work to both of you guys. Wow. I see the comments coming in. Wow. What a great book. Love it. Clapping. Thank you. Love it. Brilliant. All right. Yeah. This is definitely an awesome book. Thank you for the reading.
Oh, thank you.
Well, so, I wonder, when did you guys fall in love with picture books? For you, Jackie, when did that happen for you?
I think ever since I was a little kid, I loved picture books. My mom was a teacher. She was a bilingual teacher. And she was, a huge lover of picture books. So we had a pretty nice collection of stuff at home.
Okay.
So from a very early age, but I certainly never had ideas of becoming like an illustrator until probably I guess after college, when I was teaching.
Okay.
And I got laid off, and I was like, all right, I'm just doing this now.
But so that was an opportunity to just rediscover yourself, essentially. that
It was, yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
here we have something even more beautiful. That's great.
Mhm.
Do you still teach occasionally or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
here and
Okay.
there.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, I sub sometimes, which is interesting and fun. And I do some short-term teaching here and there. And you never know, I might get back into teaching one day. I do miss it. I do miss parts of it, but
Yeah.
I really love, I couldn't be happier doing what I'm doing right now.
So were you mainly teaching art then at the time? Is that how you kind of transitioned into illustrating?
Yeah. So I was teaching high school art and photography.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yep.
Cool. And Baptiste, at what point did you fall in love with picture books, or was that something that was always there?
I think it's something that has always been there. As a child, I love to read and love to write. I used to walk 12 miles round trip to a library to find books to read and write just books to read as a child.
Wow.
But the journey for me, I wrote off and on for it's been a few years. And about 6 years ago, that's when I got back into it a lot. And after I got my first rejection for Story Miranda and I wrote together back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
I was so deflated. I thought the whole world was just crashing in on my writing career. But she said, just keep doing what you do, keep writing.
Right.
And then the field.
It happened.
Yes.
Now, were you just writing different stories, or were you like fine-tuning this same story that we have now today?
Just different stories.
Okay.
Different stories. But a big part of my life was oral storytelling.
Okay.
The elders in the village where I grew up,
mm-hmm.
they told some elaborate stories about witches, monsters, dragons, foreign lands. And I was so captivated by it, of how they could capture everyone's attention for so long.
Yeah.
Just a story. And I fell in love with the craft of storytelling at such a young age.
Wow. That's very cool. Yeah.
Are a lot of those stories written down or?
No, they're all in Creole. A few years ago, I actually recorded some stories from some of the elders in the village. It's all in Creole. I just have to transcribe it at some point.
Right. Yeah, there are some folk tales, in my native language that were passed down the same way. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a way that I can bring this back. Because they keep ringing in my ear all the time. And I'm thinking, okay, I've got to do something with this eventually. I just haven't put my finger on it yet. So one of these days, there'll be something about a baboon or something.
You just never know. You just never know where the inspiration will come from.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't know. I mean, I was participating in Story Storm this month. And first time for me, and actually Urania got me involved. And I think almost all the story ideas, I should say, the ideas I came up with, 80% of them have to do with my childhood. Like one story that came about, I called it Grandma's Garden. And that really about my time with my grandmother. Me and my grandmother were in the garden all the time. I would eat tomatoes off a tomato tree. I would go there with a salt shaker and, like bite into a tomato, sprinkle the salt in there and eat, strawberries and carrots. So like all these things are, all coming back. And I think it's important to be around other artists that just kind of help you pull this out of yourself. And you'd be amazed what you can do. So just keep pushing, right? That's just the way it goes. So let me see. Do we have any other questions coming through? One question that I saw earlier. Somebody wants to know the word count in this book. Do you remember? Yeah, very few words.
It's 100 and something words.
Wow,
That's it.
That's impressive.
Yes.
That's really impressive. So I remember when I first read the story, I was like, wow, when I write, man, like words upon words, you know.
Yeah, and it's harder to tell something well in fewer words than, you know,
right.
going on and on and on and on. So
It really is.
Yeah, like I said, the Creole words are so powerful. And it has a lot of meaning behind it. And
I think that's so interesting because we don't know, you know, necessarily all that goes into the Creole words, you know, like you described, but somehow you get that across. And I don't know.
Thank you,
I don't
Jen.
know how that I don't know how that works, but you feel it somehow. Well done.
Yeah, that's important you said that, because I just wanted people to see my world through my language, yet at the same time see my world through the use of their language by adding the English words in there. And that was important to me. And I hope people just feel the intensity and the emotion that's in this book, and the love for play, friendship, unity, all those universal themes. I hope it came across, and I hope, you know, all the people who said, you know, they pre-ordered it and all that good stuff, and I hope when they read it, they will get the same thing that I got out of it.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah. I mean, they can't help but to feel that way with the awesome illustrations paired up with your words, honestly, you know. So yeah, well, you know, I have a question here from somebody that wants to know if you have any advice for inspiring children's authors. It's kind of a broad question, but, you know, I guess give it your best shot.
Inspiring authors. Keep writing. You write what you know, and you just take a chance. Don't treat it like it's a part-time job. Treat it like it's a career. It's a job. And be serious about it. Write every day. Actually, write something down every day.
How do you get started writing every day? Is there like a certain thing you do to kind of like a warm up, or what do you write every day?
I love the basement. I love my basement. I write in the basement a lot. I love just the mystery of a basement. And
I understand that, because somebody asked me, if you would describe your studio, how would you describe it? And I said, it feels like a basement. I love basements.
I guess we both love basements. And I walk around every day with a memo book and a pencil tucked right up here, because the ideas keep coming all the time. So I jot them down when that happens. And when I write sometimes, because I'm a dad and I have kids and I have cats, and, you know, stuff comes up and it happens.
Right,
so my sentences are never complete at the end of the day. It's always half finished. So that thought is still there. And so when I turn the computer on, just read up to that point, I'm like, this is where I was. So let me continue.
So almost like you're writing a bullet point format in a way. You know, like it comes to you, you kind of jot down.
I have to.
Points. Right.
It's important to capture those moments, those inspiring moments during the day.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit here. You know, talking about diversity in KidLit. This has been an ongoing conversation for some time. And I know you guys are well too aware of this. And, you know, when I was reading the report from the CCBC about the numbers of picture books, or just, picture books, young adult novels written by people of color, or featuring diverse character, it seems that the number of books is increasing, and yet there is still a huge lag in the number of the content creators themselves, the authors and the illustrators. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
That's interesting.
Jackie, go for it.
I mean, I can definitely see that, you know, when I started like pursuing this as a career, like you definitely go to you know, conferences or this and that, and you kind of look around and it's really white, you know, and you're like, you know, it's kind of shocking, you know, you don't necessarily see why. I haven't seen that changed too much. And I'm certainly no expert on the subject, but in terms of why, I don't know why. As you know, in my first job as a teacher, I left wanting to be kind of pursue art for myself, but I also really wanted to know what careers and what options there were for just like people in the world. And I've kind of come away realizing how big of a need there is for people like Latinos, African Americans, everybody in all sectors of the arts. And I think that it's like a really worthwhile thing to kind of figure out why there aren't still as many people kind of pursuing these careers. I don't have an answer for that really, but I certainly want to know why and want to be able to, help change that. I think it's a hard field to get into. You have to have a lot of support. You have to have, it's not necessarily like a sure thing.
Right.
It takes a really long time. It's not necessarily something that's just like, you start, and if you have, I think if you have, I guess, parents or a background that really value a job that's going to be like a solid career, it's not as sure of a thing. And so I feel like you need a support system that maybe not as many people from diverse backgrounds necessarily know it's even an option.
Right.
A career like this.
Yeah, and Ruth here says that, she had the same thought when she went to her first SCBWI conference, that, there was this lack of diversity. And I feel like We Need Diverse Books, was created in response to trying to tackle this among other organizations. Certainly, we are hoping to put a dent into this and help people become aware of how they can reach their goals as a published author or illustrator, and what the kind of toolkit, the tools they need to get there. And,
yeah, exactly.
Because you need to be around like-minded people, certainly.
Yeah.
And having a support system at home, like you're saying, is so true, because my husband really does believe in my writing and really thinks it's important. So, some people may not have a parent or a spouse that can see the bigger picture and the long-term benefits of pursuing a career in the arts in general,
Right.
Yeah. But then you also have this ongoing conversation of the preference of maybe a Caucasian author writing about people of color versus the actual authentic voice writing on that topic. Like, for instance, in this case, Baptiste wrote about his childhood, and that same story could have very well been written by somebody else who is not, not Baptiste. So that kind of takes away from that, him having the opportunity. But, most importantly for me, I feel like if you go into a school and you're a person of color, you are allowing, you are indirectly, and there was a term I came up with, a few months ago, and I already lost it. But it's like, I call it unspoken affirmation, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't have to say, I am Latino, I am Asian, I am Black, and I write and I illustrate. When you walk into a classroom, that child that's Asian or Black or Latino will see you, and they'll think, wow, she or he does this? That's really cool. Maybe I should think about pursuing this thing. I went to a school and I spoke to fifth graders, and at the end, this little girl walked up to me and just gave me a hug. Mm-hmm. Like, she literally didn't say anything, but just gave me this hug. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so good. It felt so good. And even when my own daughter, saw the image of my character, she said, I'm brown and she's brown. And until she said those words, I had never actually really thought about what this might mean to her. I mean, she's only 4, so it's not like I'm about to start talking about all these really intense subjects.
Yeah.
But I was so unprepared for how good that felt to hear that from her, and so, yeah.
A lot has been done in terms of getting diverse materials out there so our children could have access to it. Going back to when I was a child, my stories were the Three Little Pigs and Nancy Drew and Hattie Boys, and I had to work for that.
Yeah.
But my children have way more access to better literature than I did as a child. I know there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot more. But I'm going to give credit for all the people who came before me, who've been working tirelessly to get good materials out there and challenge the system to get those materials out there. Kudos to those people.
Right.
Yeah, and I think even from the short amount of years that I've been working towards this, like you see a huge shift in just the industry trying to be so inclusive, and really taking a lot of steps towards making the whole industry and certainly the bookshelves a lot more diverse. I feel like you've seen a huge change. I think that there's a difference though between the people who are making them and like you said, Christine, like the number of people that make the content versus the content themselves. I guess that it's, I guess I'm interested in the question that you asked about, like, how do you get more people? How do you convince kids or even just make them aware that this, is a journey that's like worth telling, and the people that are telling the stories have the power in the stories that are told, right? So if somebody else told Baptiste's story, it would just be lame. It wouldn't have the beautiful, like joy of his community and soccer and his, homeland that only he can put into it. So you lose a lot when somebody else tries to tell somebody else's story.
It starts with us. We are the ones who will set the agenda for the future generations. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing, keep writing, and we have to sacrifice ourselves, basically, sometimes, put ourselves out there. It is so uncomfortable. Even doing this webinar right now and looking at yourself on a screen. It's so uncomfortable. But I'm willing to do it so people can know about me, know about Jackie and the materials we put out there.
Right.
It's universal. It's a universal theme. Play, fun, outside. Kids everywhere like that.
Right. And so, in addition to your writing serving a purpose for people of color, I feel like really serving a purpose to everyone, because it enables other groups to identify with you and say, oh, we like to play. They like to play, we like to play. They play soccer, we play soccer.
It's the same thing I do.
We get dirty. We're just a different color. And, so it's like this, you see that there are so many things about each other that are similar. And I think it allows that topic of diversity to kind of transcend, to a different level, right? So
I walked into a class on Tuesday of this week, and I brought the field with me. And the first question I asked the kids, by show of hands, who likes to play in the dirt? Who loves mud? Who loves rain? And the kids all started raising their hands, and we all love the same thing, no matter where we come from.
Right.
We are people, no matter where. And that's what I was trying to convey to the kids. And I read a little bit of the book, and they loved it. And I got lots of hugs from the white kids, the Hispanic kids, the black kids. There weren't too many, but I got hugs from all of them. Yeah. And some of them said to me that I want to write someday because what you're doing is so cool.
Aww, that's awesome.
And that makes it fun when you get that from kids, when they get the hugs from kids. It makes it worth it.
That's wonderful. Wow, thank you so much. Is there any tidbits, any nuggets that you want to share with our audience? I don't really have any questions at this point, I don't think. I've been trying to watch the chat box and listen to you at the same time.
Tidbit, huh? Keep writing. Work with your critic group. Sometimes you get a critic from your critic group, you might not like it, but hey, their job is to make you a better writer. Yeah. So you just take it and you learn from it and you move on.
Right. Absolutely. You go home and you reflect on it, sleep over it for a couple of days, you know.
Sometimes a month. You got to reflect on things.
Well, this is the impatient Christine talking, you know, like, you know, in a couple of days, I had to rethink everything. My editor will say, you know, will send me an email. Oh, you know, this is what's going on here. Why did you do this? And I'm like, oh, okay, I gotta get this over to her like ASAP. And you know, and she's going, don't worry about it. Take your time. And I don't know. I'm just like one of those people that just want to see a result so fast, and it's a weakness for sure, because my husband is constantly saying, Christine, just slow down. It's okay. You can take your time, you know?
That's okay. But the key here is sometimes you just have to get out of that comfortable chair and plan that event.
Right.
You know, or make that memory that'll inspire your work on a deeper level. Sometimes you just have to.
Well, I know that you guys have family commitments, so I don't want to drag this too long, but I do want to remind everyone that is in the webinar tonight, so you're going to be entered into a raffle. We have 7 books to give away. These are the ARCs, actually. And so you don't have to do anything. Well, actually, no. Yeah, no, you don't, because you registered. I know you're here. And we're going to draw 7 names, and we'll post it on our Facebook page, but we'll also directly email you as well, so that you know whether or not you are a winner. And we would love for you to share the book on social media, share with your friends and family. The official release date is March the 6th. So it'll be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, anywhere books are sold. You know, you can buy the book, and we can support these 2 great artists, and we want to see them do well, and we want this book to sell out. And also, if you want them to come to your school, or if you know a school that might love to have them, please contact Judy Cooper. And I'm going to enter her name and email in this chat box, but you can reach her at bookthepauls@gmail.com, and you know, she can communicate with you and help these guys get to more children, so they can see the story and hear everything that they're doing. Okay? Oh, all right. Judy's already done that. Thank you, Judy.
Judy's on.
She's on it.
Hi, Judy.
All right. Yeah. So that we are actually going to wrap up here in a second, but let me also remind everybody that we have a webinar coming up in February. I believe it's February the 28th, and we will have agent Tanusri Prasanna from Foundry Agency. So please look out for those details. We're thrilled to hear what she has to say and learn more about what an agent is doing and what they're looking for, and how we can be ready to, you know, get an agent, because it's quite a process. We know a lot of people struggle with this. It's, you know, it's a serious gig trying to get an agent. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. We really
enjoyed your
time.
It was great. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thank you. Have a wonderful night, everybody.